Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're very pleased to have you today at our Green, Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group webinar. As part of our webinar series, today we have a very special event and also very expected, as this is a topic that concerns us the most, and we are very keen in promoting this type of initiatives. We have Umberto Trivella from CIDR Pamiga, who is Program Manager, Sustainable Energy Finance or Energy Finance Specialist at Pamiga, who will talk about access to solar energy through microfinance. We will be waiting 2 minutes until everybody joins to the webinar, and then we will start. As usual, first we will have a presentation of the Green Inclusive Climate Finance Action Group from the European Microfinance Platform, and then it will follow by the webinar and presentation from Umberto. Afterwards, we will have 30 minutes for the Q&As. And for everybody, this webinar will be recorded. The presentation and the recordings will be shared to the people that registered and also be uploaded in YouTube, in the YouTube channel of the European Microfinance Platform. I'm very happy to have you today here. And with this, let me know, Camille, if we are everyone here so we can start. All right. So the Green Inclusive Climate Finance and Climate Smart Finance Action Group is a unique multi-stakeholder think tank for environmentally responsible inclusive finance, and we pursue different objectives. First, we want to discuss current challenges and strategies in green inclusive finance, improve knowledge and action of stakeholders in this field, enhance the cooperation among actors, increase international attention on these thematics, increase the knowledge that there is on these topics, developing also dedicated tools that are recognized as standards by the inclusive finance sector to support green inclusive finance, publish and disseminate our findings, and enhance the interest and concrete commitment of all actors in microfinance in this topic, protecting environment. The next. So this action group has been established back in 2013 in Berlin. So it has been a very long-term commitment involving different stakeholders from consultants, investors, and also microfinance institutions. Next. And we gather more than 130 members from different levels of engagement affiliated. We have more than 70 institutions and are organized also into different subgroups. And here you can have a list of the organizations that are with us at the action group. And these activities are coordinated by Davide Porcella and me, Natalia Real Pecarrillo. I am director of EDERA Sustainable Solutions and Klaus Topka Sustainability Fellow at the Institute for Advanced Sustainability Studies in Potsdam. And Davide is co-founder of YAPU Solutions and researcher at the Center for Research of Microfinance. Our impact and traction, here are some figures for you. We have increased our action group members in the last years, also have launched our newsletter with more than 200 subscribers. We have had different webinars and presentations. For those that are new to them, you can visit at the YouTube channel from the European Microfinance Platform. We have had over 1,400 participations and an average of 170 participants per month. We have had also some webinars on the Green Index 3.0 and Dimension 7. And Between others, we collaborate with consultants. We have had intern researchers. We have some strategic collaborations with regulators, networks, and FSPs. We have been invited to different external events and engaging now Green Heroes, financial service providers, and doing analysis of over 1,000 environmental assessments. So let's have a look now on our ongoing activities. We are finalizing the Green Index 3.0, also finalizing the universal standards for environmental performance, which is a joint work with the Social Performance Task Force, SPTF, and CIDR. We are preparing trainings on the Green Index 3.0. We had already a series of trainings in Spanish, English, and French in its first version of training some weeks ago. We are preparing the state-of-the-art of Green Inclusive Finance, a publication that will come by the end of this year. And we are doing also some research on regulation and green inclusive finance, digital and green inclusive finance, and green inclusive finance in Europe in collaboration with European Microfinance Network, and developing some guidelines for green products development disbursement, working with green heroes like the financial service providers. Here we have one example of our webinar. We have newsletters, preparing also 2-pagers, publications, and discussion papers. And we have also developed the digital tool of the Green Index 3.0. So I would like to invite you also to visit our online library, which is a space dedicated to green inclusive finance only, with more than 500 documents and publications. This is a tool that has been developed by Edera Sustainable Solutions. And if there are features that you would like to add or include, don't hesitate to let us know. And also if you find anything important also to include, also feel free to share with us the publication. Next one is we would like to share with you also about our new website that can be found at the European Microfinance platform. And if you scroll down, you can have a look to the activities, webinars, links to the Green Index, the online library, and more that we're currently doing at the Action Group. And as a third activity that we would like to share with you is about the development of the Green Index 3.0, which is based on this extensive experience. As you see, it's the 3rd edition. It has been entailing more than 6 years of environmental performance assessments, has been integrated in several projects, and this new version integrates mapping and alignment to international initiatives, in-depth interviews with stakeholders, surveys. It has been also developed during this year in a steering committee with SPTF and CIDR, and aligning it to the universal standards for social performance management, and including different reviews and feedback received by more than 300 participants. The next one. We have here an overview of the evolution of the Green Index since 2014 up to 2021. Just that you see what were the different stages, its publication, then integration into the SPI4, only the qualitative indicators, but also including the quantitative components, and now in 2021, finally launching its 3rd version, which includes a section especially for vulnerability assessment. Next one. So this, as you will see then with the tools that have been launched, the Green Index 3.0 is aligned with the Dimension 7 of the Universal Standards for Social Performance Management, that now it includes an E between. And the difference is that the Green Index provides a very detailed overview, while the Dimension 7 is more like a global view. But once you fill out the Green Index 3.0, you will be also filling out the Dimension 7. So for this, Davide, I think he will be sharing with you some links. Also, you can have a look to the digital tool, and so you can explore how it works. And now, before giving the floor to Umberto, let me tell you that this webinar series, we have always these webinars on topics related to green inclusive finance. These are brief presentations by practitioners and academics. Here we have Umberto as practitioner. It's an opportunity for discussion and networking. So for those that are attending with us, you can post your questions and you will receive direct answers. That is the advantage in compared to the recording. So you will have opportunity to ask directly to Umberto your questions, and these materials will be available online. We have these webinars every 2 weeks. So everyone that is interested to speak, you can contact us, Davide or me or Joanna Afonso from the European Microfinance Platform. And with this, let me give you the floor, Umberto. You have 20 minutes, so, or I would say already some minutes less, so we can have some 25 minutes of discussion.
Good. Thank you, Natalia. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining. Thank you to the e-MFP as well for inviting me to present our work as a CIDR Pamiga on access to solar energy through microfinance. So the idea is to basically briefly present the work we've carried out and the results achieved, and then share with you some of our key lessons learned and recommendations for future programs. First of all, a quick word about who we are. CIDR Pamiga was born in 2019 out of the merger of CIDR, which was the International Center for Research and Development, and Pamiga, which was the Participatory Microfinance Group for Africa. So the two associations joined forces to become CIDR Pamiga. Our mission is to unlock the economic and social potential by promoting the growth of financial institutions, MSMEs, and impact solution providers through digital solutions. So we have a strong focus on digital solutions. You can see our field of expertise, our fields of expertise on the right: access to energy and water, which are the programs that I'm responsible for; digital finance, agricultural value chains, institutional capacity building, social performance management, advisory to local authorities, and resilience. Why did we set up this program, this long-standing program on which we've been working since 2013, actually, which is also when this action group was set up, as Natalia mentioned earlier. So we basically decided to work on access to solar energy through microfinance because we had a demand from both clients on one side, MFI clients in particular, given that their current energy, their existing energy sources were very expensive and dangerous. We found that up to 78% of clients used kerosene lamps or candles and torches for lighting. This was in Senegal back in 2014. We also found they spent up to $17 per month on lighting and cell phone charging. This was in Tanzania in 2015, but also a lack of financial means to invest in solar energy. So more than 90% of customers we interviewed were interested and aware of solar energy, but did not have means to purchase such equipment. On the other side, we also had a demand from partner MFIs, CIDR Pamiga, and at the time Pamiga we still have a network of partner microfinance institutions This network basically expresses needs and wants from to improve what they do and achieve their social mission. And one of the needs expressed was on developing products for financial products for clean energy, both to attract new customers, achieve their social mission, as well as attract investors. So the project was really born from a bottom-up approach. I'm going to focus on, even though we've been working on the sector on clean energy finance since 2013, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to focus on this specific program. So you can see here a snapshot of its key features. So the general objective of this program is to facilitate access to solar energy for rural households and MSMEs through appropriate financial services. We have 3 specific objectives. The first one is to develop an offer of financial products, adapted financial products, to overcome the access barriers for solar products. The second component is to build a network of local technicians, agents, or rather what we call the energy entrepreneurs, in charge of distribution, installation, and after-sales services at the last mile. The third component, third objective of this program is to strengthen rural populations' capacities to use solar solutions and finances. So it's the, let's say, education component. The expected results are to improve living conditions of target populations by reducing energy-related expenses, improving health, education, and working conditions, create jobs for young people as local technicians or agents, as I mentioned earlier, and of course, reduce CO2 emissions and preserve the environment. This program started in 2017 and was meant to end at the end of 2019, but we extended it up until the end of this year due to the impact of COVID. Last but not least, you can see on the bottom the donors, the institution, bilateral and multilateral institutions which have funded this and foundations which have funded this program. So the African Development Bank, ADEME in France, Alstom Foundation, OFID, which is the global, which is a fund from the OPEC, and Liechtenstein Development Services, LED. So who are the key actors involved in the program? So we have, well, the program is being carried out in 3 countries, Benin, Senegal, and Madagascar. The 3 main actors are, on one side, microfinance institutions. You can see their logos. We have ACFB, Pepco Bethesda, and Renaka in Benin. We have Cori Microfinance in Senegal, and we have Volamashu in Madagascar. Their role is in the project to provide, of course, financing to rural households and MSMEs, promote solar products and credits, analyze credit applications, disperse credits, and collect repayments. Then we have solar solution providers. Again, you can see them here: Ares in Benin, Bonergie and Najbi in Senegal, Peri in Madagascar. The role of suppliers is to provide expertise in solar energy, stock management, warranties and after-sales services, training of MFIs, and developing and managing this network of local technicians, about which I'll tell you a bit more later on. Third player in this picture is CIDR Pamiga, in charge of market studies, setting up partnerships, developing financial products and procedures, training, and then coordinating, monitoring activities, and evaluating activities as well. So let's take a look at the main activities and deliverables, let's say results of the program. So the first component is on providing TA, technical assistance, to partner MFIs to develop their offer of financial products for solar energy. So the activities we carried out included market studies, first and foremost, to understand clients' energy and financial needs, developing adapted financial services and procedures, and training staff on new financial products. So some of the results achieved with this component include carrying out 2 countrywide market studies on renewable energy in Senegal and Benin, 1 study on solar equipment for productive uses in Madagascar, and 5 MFIs, microfinance institutions, that have developed a credit offer for the purchase of solar lamps and kits through what we call solar credits. Component 2 is about providing support to solar providers to better reach rural clients. This included facilitating partnerships between MFIs and solar suppliers, as well as recruiting, training, and managing a network of local technicians, which we called energy entrepreneurs, to install and repair solar kits for end customers. The reason why we decided to develop this network was that we found that most solar suppliers, at least when we started the project, did not have a significant presence outside of the capital cities, and therefore were unable to provide an adequate let's say, installation and an after-sale service for their solar products. So these local technicians were basically in charge of, were sort of last mile distributors and technicians for such products in the different operational areas in which the MFIs were working. What are the results achieved? 6 partnerships between MFIs and suppliers developed in 3 countries. 56 local technicians trained and operational. You can see one in the picture here. Third component, supporting clients to manage their energy needs and finances. Activities carried out include developing training modules on solar energy and financial management for clients, carrying out the TOT, training of trainer sessions on these modules for MFI staff, and then training clients. So the results are to include the development of such models, 3 countries and over 10,000 clients trained, and were basically the clients who have also received the products, but we'll see this in a bit greater detail in a few slides. Component 4 is about capitalizing and sharing knowledge. Activities carried out include developing and implementing tools for results monitoring and disseminating results and lessons learned. So some of the results achieved are to have developed and implemented a monitoring in all 5 MFIs involved in the project, carrying out an outcome evaluation study in Senegal, developing a case study on Payasyougo in Benin, and last, an international project workshop, which we are gathering all of the project partners and stakeholders in Benin, which was carried out last June. So here are the main program impacts. So we have distributed basically close to 13,000 solar products in the framework of the project. This is up to the end of 2020. So you can't see figures for 2021 here. we estimate that these 13,000 solar products basically enabled some 11,000 households to improve their access to energy. This is because some households, some clients purchased more than one product. And we also estimate that there is close to 56,000 people who have improved their access to energy, estimating that each household is composed of 5 people. So this is with regards to impacts. I will now quickly move to the lessons learned and recommendations so that we can, I'm sure you have questions, but we'll leave this for the end. So lesson learned number 1, a concrete and varied promotion strategy is crucial to stimulate sales. At first, we started the program with 2 main approaches to promote solar products. First was to have classroom training and refresher courses for MFI staff and local technicians. The second was to develop flyers and leaflets to promote solar products, but these approaches proved insufficient to stimulate the demand. So we had to think out of the box, come up with different approaches, and these included moving from, or rather combining classroom training with on-the-job training and coaching of field staff, both by the MFI and the supplier. Secondly, giving clients the opportunity to see and test the actual products themselves by equipping MFI staff with samples of products, what we call demonstration kits, and also leaving products with clients for a few days or even weeks. So actually basically handing out a product to a group of clients or a group leader or an influential person in the village or community, and asking him or her to take care of the product, test it for a couple of weeks. And then, of course, once the MFI comes in for the next visit, then collect the feedback on how it felt to have this product over this period. Third approach was to involve clients themselves in the promotion of solar products, providing training and financing for some of these clients to become solar ambassadors, promoters themselves. So these were some of the approaches we learned and tested during the project to improve promotion. Lesson learned number 2, partnerships between MFIs and solar providers require regular communication at both the operational and management level. We found that despite the presence of project champions on both sides, and the fact that the 2 project champions from the MFI and the solar supplier were normally regularly in contact, the multiple activities carried out, multiple engagements of both parties often led to misunderstanding and information gaps. For example, the supplier being out of stock without not communicating this in advance, having the MFI accumulate stocks of unsold products, having mistrust between partners, particularly when the Payasyougo scheme came in. The MFIs perceived the solar providers as competitors. Delays in product delivery and installation. So our recommendation here is to establish from the beginning a steering committee comprising representatives of each party, the MFI, the supplier, the TA provider, so in this case CIDR Pamiga, to meet periodically and basically present activities carried out and results achieved, share challenges on both sides, and identify common solutions, communicate important decisions, for example, changes in strategy, changes in products, and develop an action plan for the next period, a joint action plan, including quarterly sales forecasts to ensure availability of stock. Lesson learned number 3 concerns solar credit access conditions, because these cannot be the same as those for traditional loans. What we found is that often the access conditions or collateral required by MFIs from clients, from solar loan clients, were very similar, or if not identical, to those of other loans offered. For example, an obligation to open an account, to become a member of the institution in the case of an association, having mandatory savings, having a guarantor, participating in one or more classic credit cycles, meaning you have to have taken a number of loans, traditional loans or business loans, before you request for you are eligible for a solar loan. And we found that these conditions basically demotivated clients to apply for solar credits because they considered them to be too cumbersome for a small credit. In most cases, solar credits have a lower loan amount than business loans or other kind of loans. So the recommendation is here to identify and test innovative approaches to ease access and secure solar credits. And one of these was to use the pay-as-you-go technology by basically leverage this technology in the financial, let's say, model, in the financing model of an MFI, by basically sending pay-as-you-go activation codes at each loan repayment to motivate clients to repay. So basically, a client who does not repay his or her loan does not receive a code, and therefore cannot use his or her solar product. The second recommendation is to consider solar credit as a gateway to the MFI for new clients. You can decide to disperse, a small solar credit to a client, and then establish a relationship with this client to be able to then offer him or her other kind of financial products and loans for the future. Lesson learned number 4 is concerns local technicians. We found that these local technicians or energy entrepreneurs, which I described earlier, are usually very motivated at first, but tend to lose motivation if they don't get adequate support. Lessons learned here include that local technicians normally we need to develop different strategies to keep them motivated, such as building a common identity with a logo, branded T-shirts, setting and monitoring goals, developing performance-based incentives like sales bonuses, organizing workshops, and of course help them to expand their market through training, through the diversification of renewable energy solutions sold, beyond the solar products, for example, improved cook stoves. And last lesson learned, in addition to lighting, clients also need solutions for their business activities. We found that, despite their impact, solar products, let's say for lighting and cell phone charging, remain, largely for domestic use. Clients often asked us for solutions to also help them increase the profitability of their business activities. So our recommendation is to extend the range of solar products to include solar equipment for productive uses. This includes solar irrigation pumps, solar grinding mills, solar refrigerators, solar incubators, some of the technologies we are currently exploring in other countries. And this is all the more so going to be relevant in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Good. You can see here a link to a case study on pay-as-you-go and microfinance, which you can easily find on Google by typing energy microfinance pay-as-you-go, or we can also share with you after this webinar. Thank you. And over to you, Natalia. I hope I managed to keep within the time, more or less.
Yeah, I think, Umberto, the relevance of this topic is huge. And while you were talking, like, several questions were popping up in the chat. So probably it's a topic that we will have more than an hour, or that we will need more than an hour to cover all of the lessons learned and experiences that you have had. And it's very interesting to see already your results. I've been following the work from Pamiga already for years, and it is very exciting, all what you have achieved and the different projects, methodologies, trainings, evaluations that you have done in the last years. So I will say, because time is brief, and we have here people from many different countries. Welcome, everyone. I also see many people from Impact R project. What we will do is to read out the questions, and we will then answer them live. So if you can, but can we turn off the screen, and we will go here through the chat. Let me see. Here, let's start. I will go first to the chat. I think people are using the chat and not the Q&A box. And I've seen here some questions. So the first one, what can provide names of microfinance institutions in, like put the logos, but not all the names.
Do you want me to repeat the names? I did say them quickly. So in Benin, and Ecobesda. They're all acronyms. I don't remember the top of my head what each of them stands for, but they're quite well known in Benin.
Yes. If I look to the publication that you can find in FinDev Gateway, or just typing in Google Energy Microfinance CIDR Pamiga and PayGo. There you can find the case studies describing the experiences of these MFIs in Benin. The next one is from George Mukbedu. Welcome, George. So he says, habitats will
I will share my, feel free to reach out to me. I think I didn't share my email address, which is I think in the last slide. So let me do that now.
Or if you want, we can put it in the chat.
Yeah, or do so. Yeah,
everyone can copy.
Yeah, also
if you don't mind, everyone can copy it
in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, here it is. Very quickly.
Yeah, and later you can also turn on the slides so that for the recording, those that would like to approach you can also write to you. The next question is from Olusola Olaniji. Nice to see you again, Olusola. Good, but can this be replicated in other African countries, or there will be the need for localization?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely can be. This is what we're trying to do and what we have done, because I talked about a program implemented in Benin, Senegal, and Madagascar, but we've actually been working on this sector since 2013, as I mentioned, in a range of other countries as well, which include Kenya, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Burkina Faso. This was before I joined the CIDR Pamiga, so it can definitely be replicated. It always needs to be adapted. We are currently also working on a similar program in Kenya and in Uganda, which of course have a much more developed clean energy market as opposed to West Africa. So yeah, it can definitely be replicated, but always needs to be contextualized and adapted.
Yeah, I think the question also is if there are here microfinance institutions attending here at the webinar, and if possible to replicate in another country, what will be the requirements for them, and what will be the steps to approach you or to engage in these constellations with the energy suppliers, microfinance institutions, and CIDR Pamiga. If you can tell more about it, will be great.
Yeah, I think the first step is to always understand the needs. So, for example, so understanding the needs basically means carrying out a study. So understanding what the existing supply is and what the existing demand is. So, for example, as I mentioned, in Kenya and Uganda, the project we're working on is also an energy, but it targets specifically youth. So people who are less than 35 years old. So the first thing we did was to understand the energy needs of youth. So we carried out a study in both countries to interview young people and understand what their specific needs and repayment capacities were with regards to energy. So this would be the first approach, I think, to also understand the demand and the key stakeholders in the sector, and see what gap needs to be addressed, what role needs to, what role the facilitator needs to carry out.
Yeah, like for microfinance institutions interested, they can explore the digital tools from Edera Sustainable Solutions for doing basic needs assessment at household base for energy supply, electricity, and cooking solutions. And also, as I see here, audience from impact-driven and action-based research. And we have a program for supporting microfinance institutions doing this type of assessments in regards to energy access, water sanitation and hygiene, and also food security, so that you can understand what are those needs, what is the repayment capacity, willingness to pay, ability to pay, and decide which technologies will suit the most. Let's continue with the next question. Are there any activities being done in Zimbabwe? And because also we have many guests from Zambia, if you have activities in Zimbabwe or Zambia?
No, unfortunately not. No,
not yet.
Not now, at least. We haven't had the opportunity to work over there yet.
Not yet, exactly. So this could be an opportunity to initiate some contacts. And from Raghuram, Bodupali, welcome. And what was the repayment period for the solar loans? Or what is, if you can say more about the product?
Yeah, it varies it varies also based on what the let's say what the policies are of the different MFIs, as well as on the type of product. So of course, the lower the amount of the product, the cost of the product, then of course the shorter the repayment period. I would say that on average it was between 6 and 12 months. So usually 6 months for the lamps, so the smaller, the solar lanterns, and 12 months for the kits, with 2 or 3 light bulbs, between 6 and 12. A different story will be for productive use equipment, which we are currently pilot testing in Madagascar, which of course is much more expensive. And our challenge over there is to try and actually extend the duration of the loan repayment period over 24 months. 24 months is actually the limit for many MFIs, but in this case, given the cost of these products, we're trying to push them to go beyond 24 months.
And what is the average size of these productive use technologies, the price range?
I would say around $100. Again, I would need to because there's a clear distinction between lanterns and kits. So lanterns would go from from 10 to $30-40, and kits would go to let's say $100-150 for just a lighting kit and a mobile phone charging with like three bulbs, whereas they would go beyond that for like a radio kit, radio solar kit, or a TV solar kit in the range of $300 or $400.
And for the solar water irrigation, for instance, or other productive?
That is I would say from $1,000 and above.
Okay. Also, Raghuram Bodupali asks if you have conducted a study on improvement of energy usage by clients before and after the intervention, considering one of the activities that you mentioned about evaluations, if you have done assessments at client base. Yeah, we've done it in the framework of this specific project I presented today. We have done it in Senegal. So we carried out an outcome study over there, which included basically comparing the improvements, let's say the changes in clients' livelihoods before and after purchase of solar products, as well as comparing that with a sort of control group that did not have access to such products. So yes, we've done so in one of the countries, not in all of them, unfortunately. And would you like to share any surprising outcome that you didn't expect? I would need to take it out. Do we have time for that? It's on the whole, I think it was very positive. I would need to flip through it to give you some interesting figures, but or that could be a next webinar. Exactly, yeah, we can maybe have a webinar on that. Absolutely, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Okay, so Raghuram, keep tuned for the next session. From Andreas Reitelhuber, who is also here in Berlin, is debt an issue, and how do you deal with it? Sorry, what was the question? Is debt an issue of the products? Somebody stealing the products, and how do you deal with it? Theft. Yeah. Not that I know of. Not really. I wouldn't say this has been an issue, honestly. But in any case, do you offer like insurance, or is there any measure from suppliers in terms of guarantees? Well, let's say what the supplier mainly offers is the warranty. So normally it's at least a 1-year warranty. In some cases, it can go up to 2 years. For productive use products, it can go above that. In some cases, we have a 3 and even a 5-year warranty. So this is what mainly the supplier would offer. In terms of having an insurance, well, there is in some cases a loan insurance, which is rather requested by the MFI. Some not by the provider, so it would not really be a product insurance per se, but a loan insurance to cover the let's say the risk of the loan in case of death or any other
issue that may come up, during loan repayment period.
Okay. The next question is from Dagudam. If, I think also very relevant for many participants here that come from countries where it is not like energy poverty is not that high, but still there is energy poverty in terms of reliability and quality of that grid supply. So have you had thoughts, or what is your approach from CIDR Pamiga on implementing similar interventions in areas where the grid power is available, but it is erratic and of poor quality?
Well, I'm not sure what countries we're talking about here, but if you could also, I think we could probably extend this to urban areas in Africa as well, which do have electricity. But as you mentioned, even though the grid they're not off-grid areas, so the grid is there, but electricity supply is often erratic and very, very expensive as well. So what I can say in this regard is that we have found that unlike what we had initially imagined, there was a great uptake of solar products in urban areas as well. And the reasons are that people indeed use solar products both to save money on their electricity bills, as well as a backup during power cuts. So I think this is another important finding of the program, that solar products, solar lighting products are equally interesting for urban dwellers as well, in addition to, of course, rural populations.
So in that case, that would mean like proving the demand, you wouldn't have a problem considering initiating a project also in urban areas.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. Especially if as the power supply is unreliable and expensive, because solar energy is, of course, allows you to reduce cost, and is and of course is it's also a great backup during the power cuts and beyond. So people can decide to reduce. We heard of people reducing, their use of actually electricity. So taking out light bulbs in different rooms of their houses and using their solar kit instead, even though they were in urban areas with electricity.
Okay. From Andrea Tratehuba, do you install microgrids, or have you had any experience with mini-grids?
We don't install them because we're not let's say technicians or engineers, but yes, we are working with mini-grids in Benin, and together with another association called Électriciens Sans Frontières, so Electricians Without Borders. So they provide the technical expertise, and we always work on the sort of access to finance for mini-grid users, the framework of the project, as well as training, etc., business training. So we're always on the, let's say, economic side. We're also going to work with mini-grids in Uganda, in an island on Lake Victoria called Lolwe Island. So it's obviously in off-grid areas where there's no electricity and there's no plan to set up the grid anytime soon, because otherwise, it would not be worthwhile investing in very expensive solution as a mini grid. So yes, we are starting to work on with this technology, even though we're still quite at the beginning. So the mini grids in Benin have still not been built. Rather they are being built, but they will only be operational in 2022. Yeah. And the same goes for Uganda. They're still in progress. So we actually haven't started working, with clients of such mini grids to see how we can help them to set up businesses and basically take advantage of these mini grids and access to electricity to improve their livelihoods.
I would feel like in a year we will invite you again and we will discuss.
Yeah, we can have a session. On the mini-grids, yeah, on mini-grids, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
because this will be like the next innovation also,
I
or
believe
not
so, yeah.
innovation, but approach.
Together
Minigrids
with
and
productive
microfinance.
use, I would say.
Yeah, in the case of Uganda, no, with the ice making technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now from Herminia Anago from Philippines, for you should be very late. Thanks for being here with us. How was the repayment rate using the pay-as-you-go technology? Did you encounter any challenges using it?
So the pay-as-you-go is something very interesting in my view, and something, you know, quite innovative that we've done, even for countries which are, you know, very advanced on the technology side, for like Kenya. So, for example, in Kenya, most partners we were now suggesting to adopt this pay-as-you-go sort of approach. And many of them, you know, are still are also surprised and you know, sort of hesitant to introduce this mechanism. But so I think it's very interesting. But to be honest, we have not experimented it as much as we would have liked to, in the sense that we launched it at the end of 2019. We put it in place. So we had a couple of months, 2019 and early 2020, before the pandemic broke out. After which, in most, actually in most countries except Madagascar, products where you know, the distribution of loans in general, loan disbursement was basically halted or you know, or drastically reduced. So we have not tested it as much as we would have liked to. Things again are, of course, have been picking up in 2021. But I would definitely want to work further on this pay-as-you-go component. I think that the good thing about using pay-as-you-go is to basically leverage a technology to provide an alternative way to secure loans to MFI clients, basically. So that means that we can use other form of securities, other form of collateral, but we can include this technology in addition to provide, you know, another further incentive for clients to repay successfully their loans. So, for example, this is something we're testing with young people. We want to test with young people in Kenya and Uganda because young people usually don't have collateral, have very limited collateral. And so one way to secure loans to them, to enable them to purchase solar lighting products, would indeed be to use, for example, the pay-as-you-go technology. Again, you know, doesn't mean that using the pay-as-you-go technology will ensure 100% repayment, but it will definitely provide, you know, an additional incentive for clients to repay their loans, because it means that, you know, if they don't do so, they do not receive pay-as-you-go code and therefore cannot use their product. So let's say that it requires a further, I think, implementation, which is what we want to do. But I would say that the initial feedback was positive, and the MFIs that have tried it, one in particular in Benin, Renaka, which was enthusiastic about this approach.
Mm-hmm. There is one more question about the pay-as-you-go, but before I've seen that in the Q&A box there had been also some questions, so I will try to bundle them also because we are over the time. So what type of energy needs are your products addressing? I think we have already addressed that one. Now we have consumptive usage and also productive uses. if this can be replicated in other countries. It's true. What are the demographic characteristics of your clients? And are you targeted rural or urban in the countries you're implementing the program?
I think we've answered this as well, no? Both of them. All MFI clients, regardless of where they are.
Yeah, so we have completed here all the questions, and we are in the middle of the questions. Camille, what can we continue, or should we collect more questions and then answer in an email? If we can, we should continue. Thank you. Yeah, from my side, it's fine to continue. I hope also from you, Umberto, what do you say?
Yeah, no, we can go on at least for another 10, 15 minutes. So.
Yes. Yeah, I think there is a lot of interest in these topics. So how was here from Jason? Welcome. What was there a problem with users cracking the pay-as-you-go code system so that they could continue to use without paying? Have you had those cases?
No, we haven't had. But again, as I said, it's been more of a pilot, unfortunately, because of the pandemic coming in right when we started it. So it's a bit early. We would have to test it out on a much larger scale. But to my knowledge, this has not been the case, and I think probably a pay-as-you-go operator would who has done this on a very large scale would better be able to answer this question. And personally, I've not heard of this from pay-as-you-go operators either.
Yeah, you mentioned that microfinance institutions perceive also pay-as-you-go technology as competition from, and I was curious if you share this view, and if you enable the microfinance institutions from Benin to discuss or to share their experiences with other
no, absolutely
countries.
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. Yeah, indeed. Initially, well, pay-as-you-go is basically a kind of end user financing, no? That is normally provided directly by a solar company. So in that respect, obviously, initially, especially because when we started the project and the program, Pay-as-you-go was not yet there, but it was developed, during the course of the program, operated some of the providers, the suppliers we were partnering with introduced it. And of course, MFIs saw them as competitors because, the whole scheme was based on the MFI providing loans and the supplier providing, of course, the technical side of things. So, delivery, distribution, after sales, etc. So then when they introduced pay-as-you-go, in addition to providing distribution and after sales services, they were also providing loan, basically end user financing. So obviously, MFIs saw this as, going from partners to competitors. Whereas we decided to set up to use a different approach, where we said, let us use this technology, let us leverage this great technology, because we think that pay-as-you-go is a fantastic technology to actually, in the framework of the partnership. So let's use it as an additional tool for the partnership rather than as a source of competition. And this was basically what we tried to do in Benin. Also because, of course, the solar providers are not necessarily are not financial institutions. So they do not, let's say providing end user finance requires significant capital and loan appraisal skills that they may not necessarily have, especially at the beginning. So there was actually an interest from both sides in saying, okay, let us use this technology. So let us equip the MFI with this technology we have, so that we can transfer the credit risk to the MFI, and we can focus on distribution and after sales, which is our core business. So each party could focus on their core business.
So it's something that you will recommend, definitely.
I think it's an interesting approach, definitely. But yes, I think what I would like is to test it on a larger scale, and see if what are the results. For now, we've tested it, as I said, on a limited scale and with quite a manual approach. So we've not gone through integrating the MFIs, MIS with a pay-as-you-go platform, because of course this was much more expensive and time consuming. So we've used a manual system whereby the solar provider generates the pay-as-you-go codes and then sends them over to the MFI, who in turns delivers them to clients when they come to repay their loans. So very simple system, if you will.
Okay. We have a question from Timothy Walduma. We could have a way of having solar warranty scheme to help our customers able to access loans for solar in a way that guarantee can help to safeguard the financial institution to lend out loans to clients having a warranty of payment in case of default, like for most agricultural loans do have. And with a warranty which has boosted the uptake of these loans. So I would say you are, Timothy, if I understand right, the question is if guarantee schemes are boosting the uptake of the loans, right? Or if there are solar guarantees schemes. Do you have any experience with the solar guarantee schemes? From the
not really. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understood the question. Know what you mean by solar guarantee schemes.
Perhaps it's not only the guarantee provided by the supplier, but also from the financial institution in case of default.
Okay, so it's like a guarantee fund for solar equipment, basically?
For the loan.
Okay, and who would be providing these guarantee funds?
Yeah, that's the question. If
you would need to set it up.
Something like this.
So it's basically a guarantee fund for renewable energy.
Yes.
We don't have experience with this. This is what many MFIs actually request for. Yeah. But then what we normally tell them is that they also need to take some risk, no? Because that is their role after all, no? Selling credit.
Yeah. So you will say, like, so far there is no offer like this, but perhaps in the future when the sector evolves and there are some experiences gathered, and if there is like definitely the need for it, there could be some proposals, right?
Yeah. I think so. What we've used in our experience is we've rather used the subsidies. So we've used two mechanisms. One is we've rather supported, instead of supporting, let's say, covering the risk of loans. What we've done is we've done two things. First one is providing credit lines, so like concessional wholesale funding to our partner MFIs. This is through CIDR Pamiga's sister company, which is called Pamiga Finance, and which is basically it's basically an investment manager. So managing a number of funds, including funds for renewable energy, and through these funds, we provided funding to a number. Actually, most of the MFIs working with us in the framework of the project, so that they could, of course, use this funding to provide solar loans. So this is one thing. The other thing we did was we had like performance-based grants, which were basically sort of grants to support operation costs incurred in the framework of the project, in setting up and developing these new products for energy. And so these basically, yeah, they were like grants tied to the achievement of specific project-related milestones, so like number of loans dispersed, number of clients reached, these kind of number of trainings carried out, all of this. So this is, let's say, the two approaches that we've used in the framework of the project. So I don't have any experience with guarantee funds per se.
We have 3 more questions, but I will move them. So continuing on these guarantee schemes, but like also inviting other impact investors, what could be measures or policies that will be required to boost financiers' confidence in solar financing? What will you say to them, to all the MIPs that are still scared or not yet initiating this type of projects?
Well, I think that well, I think that what I would say is that there is, I said, the renewable energy space does not include only small, pico solar products that most of the stakeholders in the sector have been working with, up until now, at least. Of course, one of the issues with these products was that given their, very low cost, in the range of, a couple of $100, but very often less than that. It was also, it was expensive to provide loans for these kind of products. And of course, also the revenue generated by selling such products is also low because, of course, the interest rate, the income generated by a $50 loan is obviously much lower than the income from a $500 or a $1,000 loan. So what happened in many cases was that MFIs, motivation to promote these products was a bit fluctuating. Sometimes you would see them very motivated, but other times almost preferring to focus on their other core banking products, business loans, working capital loans, agricultural loans, all of that. So this may have been one of the issues also that solar, let's say that funders, investors in the sector may have perceived on the profitability of energy financing for for PICO and small solar kits. But what I would say to them is that now we're looking more and more towards other kind of technologies as well, which include mini-grids, as well as productive use solar equipment, as I mentioned, which of course are have much more significant financing needs on one side and can be potentially much more profitable as well on the other, because of course they're actually linked to technologies that can generate income, that can increase productivity, and therefore increase revenues as well. So I think this is, at least in our case, we're just starting to explore this. We're doing so in Madagascar, for example, and I have to say that we would basically be the pioneers of these kind of products over there, because none of the manufacturers we've talked to have ever delivered sold products in Madagascar. So I think this is an opportunity for definitely for investors and financiers to look into as well, beyond just solar lighting products.
Yeah, I think as a pioneer at CIDR Pamiga, now these 11,000 beneficiaries or households that have acquired the technologies, even if the number within 3 countries might be not that large, for other investors is very interesting already. Seeing your lessons learned and and to see that after this experience, that now you're going to explore productive uses and also making more interesting this marriage between financial inclusion and energy inclusion. And we will be keen also to see your results and what have been or what will change in this approach, also financing productive uses. So, and then if not going into questions like more with like serving the people or communities with very, very low income sources, did your program have an opportunity to work with village saving groups, so not directly a microfinance institution, which are more prominent in rural areas? And if so, what was your experience? And I will bundle this question with the one from Daniel Mbise from Tanzania. I wish to ask if there is a mechanism applied to people who cannot be able to pay for loan as environment practitioners, and what are the interest rates that would be viable to all people?
Yeah, I think that so we've, to my experience, we've not worked directly with BSLAs because, as I mentioned, our key counterparts were always MFIs within CIDR Pamiga's network. So some of them may have been working with BSLAs, but not let's say BSLAs. Our counterpart again was always the MFI. So we have worked, for example, with some MFI, in Senegal. Curry Microfinance is worked with the village banking model. So they have groups of women who have up to 100 members. But this is again this is their own methodology. So it's not really a village savings a self-managed, let's say saving and loan group. So so this is what I can say in terms of interest rates and well, loan repayment capacity. Of course, clients are always complaining about interest rates, about the cost of products, regardless of the loans that are provided. But of course, I think the key to this is mainly in trying to let's say the solution is mainly on education, making them understand how much money they're spending regularly on their everyday energy expenses. Candles, batteries for torches, kerosene if they're using, or paraffin if they're still using that, mobile phone recharge fees. So in all of these, sometimes clients have these recurrent expenses and they don't really realize how much they're spending on this because they don't keep track of these expenses. And so realizing this and then comparing it to the cost of a monthly installment can help in understanding that the loan is actually very easy to repay if you put this money aside instead of spending it every day for candles and torches and mobile phone fees and what have you, and rather use it to repay your loan. This is what I can say. So I think education is crucial.
Yeah, and this is something that you are supporting with the microfinance institutions, right? In terms of trainings.
Training, financial education modules and training of staff and training of clients, sensitization training of clients.
I think these are very good tips, especially for George from Kenya, who has the last question. And I'll say this has been an exceptional webinar with so many participants still until the end. The last question from George. How are you linking the trained technicians with microfinance clients at the community level? Or is it the goal to create a pool of trained technicians where customers can have access? What has been, if you can tell more about that experience that you...
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. I think this is another interesting component of the project that we've perhaps not really touched upon that much during this webinar. So as I mentioned earlier, especially when we started these programs, even though, as I mentioned, we talked about a program, a specific project started in 2017, but we've actually been working on this, since 2013, and especially in the beginning, there was no. One of the key issues was providing. Was the lack of presence of solar suppliers outside of the capital, whereas most MFIs had an extensive branch network across the country. So the question was, how can we not just deliver products, which of course can be delivered through some form of transportation or another? How can we, actually make sure that clients are trained on how to use the products, that we have an effective after-sales service. So in case there are defects, or not just in case of manufacturing defects, but also in other, cases whether maybe it's just misuse or misunderstanding on how to use the product or recharge a battery or, install the solar panel. So, how can we do this outside of the capital? And what we thought of was to really set up in each area we were working in each, let's say, macro areas, so to say, set up basically, identify and train a group of local technicians, which are normally young, electricians, young graduates from vocational schools, who were therefore, identified, recruited, and then trained by the solar providers to basically become, last mile technicians of such products. Meaning that when these products were sold in the locations where they were active, then we would call upon these technicians to come and install the products, and they would then earn a commission for each product sold. So basically, their business model was based on commissions earned from products installed, and then the same would go in case of after sales. So if there was a problem with the product, before sending the product back to the capital or to whichever warehouse or deposit the solar supplier had, we would send out one of these local technicians to check on the client and the product, provide immediate sort of first instance after sales support, and then based on this evaluate whether the product actually needed to be sent back and replaced within the warranty, or whether there was any other minor issue which could be addressed by the local technician. So this was these entrepreneurs. They were in most cases managed by the MFI. In other cases, they were managed by the solar distributor. So we had different models. In any case, all of them were entrepreneurs, meaning that they didn't have fixed salary. They are paid through commissions, basically. So their interest is to have as many products sold, and therefore they also contribute to promote products. Because of course, every time a solar product is sold, they have a product requiring installation. They have an opportunity to earn a commission. And the last thing I should say is also on installation. Surprisingly enough, in many countries, even in Kenya and in Uganda, where we're working now, the solar suppliers tend to insist on the fact that these products, especially the solar kits, don't require any installation. They say they're plug and play, and therefore, there is no need for installation. And I can guarantee you that I've seen, the worst kind of installations that you could ever imagine carried out by clients, simply because even though these products are plug and play, the panel needs to be fixed on the roof. You need to have a proper cabling, in the apartment and in between rooms. And honestly, the client is unable to do this. And so just to give you an idea that despite the work we've been carried out, even in more advanced countries on the energy side, there is still there is still work to be done, in my view, to have these concepts really well understood, because it is in the interest of all parties for the product to be installed properly, because that means that if it's installed properly, it will work properly, and clients will repay their loans better. So anyway, just to give you I think just to share my some feedback on the importance of installation as well, even with very simple solar kits, which you could consider to be plug and play.
So closing, we will say that definitely you will recommend that there are these technicians regardless. If the supplier says just deliver the product and the customer installs by themselves, to ensure that there are some trained technicians that can accompany the client. And the question will be, who is in charge of them, or who has to pay them for their work? If the supplier doesn't want, or they are sure, and the microfinance says it is not a cost that we're going to bear, then
no, they should be paid. They should be paid by the margin between the wholesale and retail price of products. So this was basically a commission model. So of course, products are sold to the MFI from sold by the solar provider to the MFI at a wholesale price, and then are sold by the MFI to clients at a retail price. There's a margin between a difference between the two prices, and this difference, at least part of this difference, this margin should be used to pay for the energy entrepreneurs. So.
Yeah, this is a good approach, and some innovative tips that come out that have been shared today, and that we haven't had in previous discussions about this linkage. So with this, I would like to close today to this webinar. Herminia says that indeed this technician plays a key role. We have had today participants from Mexico, Philippines, and many countries across Africa. Definitely a topic that is very interesting for many stakeholders that are willing to initiate, or that are initiating, as George, in their programs, that would like also to connect with CIDR Pamiga to replicate or to explore opportunities in other countries. Thank you very much, Umberto, for your presentation today, for all the tips that you gave, for sharing your experiences and lessons learned. Also, thank you for all the participants and your multiple questions. Your thank you notes and hellos and all the support given here. And as we said, you have here the email from Umberto, also our emails from the action group, and from Joanna Afonso. If you would like also to subscribe to the newsletter or to get to know about the webinars, you can write us. Thank you very much, and we will close the session now.
Thank you everyone for joining, and thanks for all your questions, and please feel free to reach out to me for any other questions or any other collaboration or advice you may need or want for your own projects.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And thank you to the e-MFP, Natalia, and the rest of the team as well for organizing this, the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.